Welcome to Weedsday Wednesday, Tucson, Arizona's #1 online radio podcast about all things medical cannabis. Your host, Belle
and the Cannabis Kid. There's news, interviews, and all the latest information about anything and everything medical cannabis related in Tucson, Arizona, and the world at large.
We'd love to hear from you. Please give us a call live at 646-915-8421. You can like us on Facebook, follow us on all social media, or email thctucson@gmail.com.
We'd like to thank Tumbleweeds Health Center and Studio C, along with our many sponsors, for hosting our show every week. With the lowest price certifications in town, you'll find hemp products, accessories, and all things related to medical cannabis education.
Visit Tumbleweeds Health Center at 4826 East Broadway Boulevard or online at tumbleweedshealthcenter.com. And remember,
Be smart,
be safe,
and educate.
All right, welcome to Weedsday Wednesday, everybody. Woo-hoo! It's March. Woo! Spring is in the air. You guys can finish laughing. It's all right. Please be good. March 5th for the bestie. Oh, 295 days until Christmas. That's for you, Silver Sister, and the bestie. Get ready. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Weedsday Wednesday. Belle here. Cannabis Kid is on the prowl. Silver Sister will be here soon. Not today, but soonish. Maybe next week. Woohoo! 295 days and 296 until it's over. All right, Weedsday Wednesday. Woo woo! Welcome everybody.
If you suffer from one of these medical conditions and have been diagnosed by an Arizona licensed physician, medical cannabis may help relieve your symptoms. Tumbleweeds Health Center is Arizona's premier cannabis certification, health, and education center. Our primary focus is to help the patients of Arizona obtain their medical marijuana card and educate everyone about medical cannabis. With current medical records, approval is a simple process. Contact Tumbleweeds Health Center to see if you qualify for your Arizona medical marijuana card.
Yeah, no, quit it. Knock it off. You guys are being crazy this morning. I don't know what's going on. Silly. All right. Well, there's our plug for Tumbleweeds Health Center. Come on down to 6224 East Speedway Boulevard. Yep, we moved. Don't you worry. We're still around. We're still there. Got a ton of certifications happening today. All right, just making sure the microphone's on because I don't see the little signal moving. Oh, how's everybody doing? Does anybody want to get certified? You can come on down. We moved into the Good Leaf at 6224 Golf Clap, East Speedway Boulevard. Come on down and get certified. If you want to know what you can get certified, give me 1 second. We'll get over to the website, tumbleweedshealthcenter.com, and get on over to the certification section. And then book your appointment right there. There's a button. It takes you right to our booking calendar, and you can pick a spot, any spot, and get certified Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays right now. We're kind of spacing it out a little bit just to give everybody a chance to get in there. You can walk in if you like and get certified. You don't even need an appointment. Just come on down. We also offer the telemedicine. Woo-woo! So you can click on our telemedicine section, and there's a little button there that says book now. You can book your appointment, and that's fabulous. All right, let's see what's going on here. Okay, if you live in the great state of Arizona, anywhere in Arizona, like I said, we do telemedicine. and we can see you from wherever you are, your couch, your boat, your mountain. If you're hiking and you're like, oh crap, I forgot my appointment, I gotta call in right now, and you're on the top of Camelback Mountain, don't worry, we got you. No camels are harmed in the making of this commercial. All right, so if you have one of these conditions, you too can get certified. And if you haven't been to Camelback Mountain, oh my glorious gosh, what a beautiful place to go and check out our beautiful state. You get a 360 view of the entire valley. It's incredible. You have to be in pretty good shape to get up there. It's 1.1 miles. I've done this since I was, 24 years old. 24, maybe even earlier. I may have gone up there earlier. I remember one time I went hiking up there. I think I was by myself. It was probably when I first moved here, 30 years ago. Oh my Lord. I've been living in this state for 30 years. It's more than I lived in California, I believe. So I get, and I'm asking people, I'm just wiped out because it's steep and you got to go up, climb rocks and the whole nine, and there's railings in case you can't. And I get almost there. And I'm like, I just can't do it anymore. I'm too exhausted. So I turn around and I go back, and I didn't make it the first time. I did not make the hill the first time up. I know it. So the second time when I went, I get up there and I'm like, all right, this time I'm doing it. I'm going to do it. And I realized that the first time I tried, I was so freaking close to the top of that mountain. Had I just like turned one corner, I would have made it up. Oh my gosh, I would have been at the top the very first time, but I gave up. So don't give up, kids. Don't do it, because you never know what's around that next corner. And boy, was I amazed. It was not quite as good as seeing the Grand Canyon, but boy, was it's spectacular. It's really spectacular. And you feel really good about yourself once you get up that mountain. 1.1 miles. I don't know how high up it is as far as feet goes. I should look that up. I'll look that up on our break. Excuse me, I'm really tired. I made a ton of pizzas yesterday and it wiped my butt, kicked my butt. Woo! All right. So get on over to hoteltombstone.com and get on down to Tombstone and come check out our hotel. Well, my hotel, it's pretty freaking awesome. Video games, homemade pizza, homemade pie, and Arizona local ice cream. I know it. Okay, if you suffer from one of these conditions, I swear I'm going to read the list now. We can get you your medical marijuana card, and then you can save a lot of money. You get legal protection. You get protection from your landlord. You can carry your gun if you want with your card and your weed. Not recommended, but you still can. So, okay, if you have, okay, here's a disclaimer. A lot of these need medical records, but if you were diagnosed with these, I'm sure you have the medical records. All right, PTSD, cancer, glaucoma, AIDS, chronic pain, severe nausea, seizures, including epilepsy, HIV, Hep C, ALS, Crohn's disease, agitation of Alzheimer's, dementia, everything in between there, cachexia or wasting syndrome, severe and persistent muscle spasms. There goes one of the local meth heads walking by the house, F-bombing the bus. Oh, to live in Tucson. Oh, my Lord. I know it. Where else is that going to happen? Give me a moment. Allergies. So, chronic pain. If chronic pain is your condition, that's going to cover, oh Lord, a whole host of things. Migraines, fibromyalgia, which seems to be a big condition these days, back pain, leg pain, arm pain, pinky pain. It's got to be chronic though. 60 days or more is chronic according to the state of Arizona. Nausea, seizures. If you have seizures, any kinds of seizures, I don't know why it says including epilepsy, but any kind of seizures, Parkinson's even, that goes along with the muscle spasms, Tourette's. A lot of kids that have Tourette's will actually, I was going to say bang their heads, and then the 80s, bang your head. Yeah, quite right. the 80s play came into play. I know it. It's just what happened. I was born in 70, and when you grow up with 80s music, it just does not stop. So Tourette's, autism, and these are the conditions. If you didn't hear on this list, the state will still approve because the treatment that you're getting for these conditions will cause things on this list, like pain, for instance, nausea, seizures, muscle spasms, wasting syndrome. It can cause a lot of things, a lot of these conditions, autism, Asperger's, being on the spectrum, can cause a lot of problems. You can literally, a lot of these conditions in kids will cause them to lash out in aggression so bad that they will hit their heads, they'll hurt themselves. So you got to, just dig a little deeper. If you don't hear your condition on here, it's okay. We can most likely still get you your card. So with that, we're going to play. We already did, but we'll play it again.
Conditions and have been diagnosed by an Arizona licensed physician, medical cannabis may help relieve your symptoms. Tumbleweeds Health Center is Arizona's premier cannabis certification, health, and education center. Our primary focus is to help the patients of Arizona obtain their medical marijuana card and educate everyone about medical cannabis. With current medical records, approval is a simple process. Contact Tumbleweeds Health Center to see if you qualify for your Arizona medical marijuana card.
All right,
if
testing.
You suffer from
it didn't work.
Medical conditions.
I don't know how to work this little playback thing. It doesn't tell you up on the iTunes thing what these buttons mean. So sorry about that. Anyway, if you want to get certified, come on down, get certified, and we'll help you do that. All right. So thank you for tuning in, whoever's here. I can't even tell. I see there's a little one person over there. So it's a little icon that says person. And for you, we golf clap and set the magic. Yeah. Thanks for being here. All right. So one of my friends on Facebook sent me, it's actually a guy that I've been acting with for a little while. And very nice guy. We've been in a bunch of movies together, a bunch of Westerns together. And that's the preface for this. He sent me a video. I think it's only 17 minutes. So I'll play it. It's the history of cannabis, but it's the history, and it's a cannabis cowboy, a history of weed in the Wild West. So without further ado, let's play it for you.
The earliest written record of people using cannabis, also known as marijuana, goes back to around 2727 BC in China. Back then, they saw it as something that could help with health issues. The ancient Greeks and Romans also knew about cannabis, and in places like the Middle East, the use of cannabis spread across the Islamic Empire into North Africa. In the 16th century, cannabis made its way to the Western Hemisphere when Spaniards brought it to Chile, mainly for its use in making fiber. In North America, the Spanish introduced cannabis, which was mainly grown as hemp on many farms. During the early days of colonial times, hemp became an important crop for farmers. Hemp, along with tobacco, became a big crop that people exported long before the American Revolution. It all started in 1611, when a few plants were brought across the Atlantic by the first settlers of Jamestown, Virginia. In 1619, King James I ordered these American colonists in Jamestown to increase their efforts to help England. The Virginia Company, which governed Jamestown, told the landowners to grow and send 100 hemp plants to support England. Later on, the colonists grew hemp to help expand England's influence in the Americas. Cannabis farming played a big part in the early days of the United States. Even George Washington grew hemp at Mount Vernon as one of his main crops. In the 18th and 19th centuries, hemp was widely used for making rope and fabric in the United States. I
want to buy your house.
Oh no, there's a commercial. Well, we're going to just mute that. We're going to skip it and get back to this. That's crazy. I didn't know that. Sorry about that, folks.
From then until after the Civil War, it became an absolutely vital crop in North America. It played a key role in both colonial times and the country's economic plans. In 1775, people started growing hemp in Kentucky, and big hemp farms popped up in Mississippi, Georgia, California, South Carolina, and Nebraska throughout the 1800s. Cannabis was also used for medicine, and by the 1850s, it was available in American pharmacies after being introduced to Western medicine by William O'Shaughnessy in 1839. He specialized in herbs and taught his fellow Western doctors how to ease muscle spasms and pain via cannabis. People also used it to help with migraines and sleep problems, and it was a common pain reliever until aspirin was invented years later. During this time, there were efforts to control the sale of medicines, and laws were made in different states to regulate cannabis. These laws aimed to stop drugs from being mislabeled, mixed with undisclosed narcotics, or sold improperly, especially if they were harmful. Some laws required labels on drug packages to warn about their dangers, or they only allowed them to be sold in licensed pharmacies with a doctor's prescription. These laws also often prevented selling medicines to minors and limited how many times a prescription could be refilled. In a bulletin from the United States Department of Agriculture from around this time, it was noted that 29 states had laws related to cannabis. Some states, like Wisconsin and Louisiana, required a doctor's prescription for cannabis sales, while others did not list restricted drugs but required labeling, including Nebraska and New York. In New York, the law originally listed cannabis as a poison, passed in 1860 after several suicides reportedly involving substances later classified as poisons. The initial version of the law prohibited the sale of cannabis without a doctor's written order, but the final version allowed sales without a prescription as long as the purpose and the buyer's details were recorded. However, all packaging had to bear the label poison in uppercase red letters. Even in states where cannabis was not included in poison laws, there were efforts to regulate it. In California, a bill introduced in 1880 aimed to regulate the sale of opium and other narcotic poisons, including preparations made from hemp. While this bill was withdrawn in favor of one focused solely on opium, subsequent bills addressing hemp-based drugs were introduced before the turn of the century. Between California and the Mississippi River, though, all bets were off, as the lawlessness in many territories and soon-to-be states meant local governments had not one iota of a decree or order banning the growth and consumption of cannabis. Historians explain that cannabis is a plant that spreads its pollen through the wind and grows well in areas where humans have made changes to the environment, like fields cleared of trees or brush. The perfect description for the American frontier in the mid to late 19th century. Because it was widely available in the western United States by this time period, cannabis became a popular substitute for tobacco. This was widely true when tobacco wasn't as easily accessible, again, in western territories. It was also cheaper and could be found on the side of the road, depending on where one traveled. Cannabis flourishing across the Wild West was also the first time the plant was widely consumed purely for its psychoactive effects. In other words, it stopped being used as a medicine and quickly turned into a recreational substance. Enter cannabis cowboys.
Uh-oh.
War, the newly unionized Texas held the biggest population of displaced Mexican people, as well as becoming the hotspot for those looking to flee the growing imperial vice grip squeezing Mexico as a country. As a result, Texas was by and large the first frontier locale to see an uptick in recreational cannabis consumption. This newfound recreation was by and large contained within working class circles, specifically Mexican laborers. These groups included cowboys, who were predominantly African American and Mexican men at that point in time. Cannabis didn't take off like you might think, however. It was still a relatively unknown substance to a majority of settlers on the frontier, as other narcotics and medicinal opiates, not to mention alcohol, were the ingestibles of choice. Cannabis also arrived across the border with a new name, marijuana, the anglicized Spanish word for reefer. The recreational use of cannabis began to emerge in the early 20th century, introduced to the U.S. by Mexicans fleeing the dictatorship of President Porfirio Diaz. In fact, one of the most well-known cannabis cowboys in history played a critical part in the Mexican Revolution. Francisco Pancho Villa, the outlaw turned hero, and the Robin Hood of Mexico, was also a stoner and pot connoisseur. Pancho Villa is celebrated for his military prowess, but his personal life remains largely shrouded in mystery. Much of what we know about him comes from oral traditions in Mexico, where his legendary exploits are passed down through folk songs called corridos. These songs paint him not only as a skilled fighter, but also as someone who knew how to enjoy life to the fullest, along with an obsession with cannabis. During the Mexican Revolution, Villa's escapades were immortalized in 4 popular battle hymns, including Adelita and La Cucaracha. While Adelita tells a tale of tragic love, La Cucaracha became Villa's anthem, detailing his triumphs, struggles, and wild lifestyle during the Revolution. La Cucaracha notably glorifies marijuana, which was a common indulgence among Villa's troops during the conflict. It's believed that around half of Villa's army, including many Yaqui natives, regularly used marijuana, sometimes even before battles, believing it gave them strength and courage.
Heck
In
yeah.
addition to marijuana, Villa's troops often indulged mezcal and soda, alcoholic beverages made from desert plants. Villa himself was known for his extravagant lifestyle, earning him a reputation as a charismatic leader who knew how to have a good time. Despite his penchant for partying, Villa was also a formidable military strategist, leading successful operations even with poorly equipped and untrained troops. His followers, known as Vistas, remained inspired by his leadership, even during challenging times when supplies were scarce. Born Doroteo Arango, Villa's early life was marked by poverty and hardship. He rose to prominence as an outlaw and bandit, becoming a folk hero among the poor farmers he often aided with his raids on wealthy haciendas. While Villa was notorious for his romantic escapades, including multiple marriages and relationships, his life took a more revolutionary turn in 1909. The death of his daughter, coupled with mistreatment by a wealthy landowner, ignited Villa's desire for social justice, leading him to join the revolutionary cause. Pancho Villa initially joined the revolution for selfish reasons. During that time, Mexico was ripe with various revolutionary groups, and Villa saw an opportunity for profit through looting, plundering, and violence as part of the Revolutionary Army. However, his encounter with the prominent revolutionary leader, Francisco Madero, changed his perspective. Madero's strong ideals about land reform and social justice deeply resonated with Villa, despite his limited understanding of the political intricacies involved. From then on, Villa pledged his loyalty to Madero and the revolution, despite occasional outbursts of temper. Villa faced numerous challenges during his revolutionary journey. He narrowly escaped death sentences on multiple occasions, thanks to last-minute reprieves from Madero. And despite his devotion, Villa spent 4 months in a Mexico City jail before making a daring escape on Mexican Independence Day. Fleeing to El Paso, he quickly regrouped and formed a new army in Chihuahua City. After a fierce battle, his forces captured Juarez, and Villa assumed control of the city, implementing various reforms and enjoying a lavish lifestyle funded by taxes and legalized vices like gambling and prostitution. During his rule in Juarez, Villa lived extravagantly, using hidden treasures to fund his army and indulge in luxuries like fancy cars and unlimited cannabis. He gained widespread acclaim as Madero's top general and even returned control of Chihuahua City to the people as a Christmas gift. Despite his military triumphs, Villa's fortunes took a downturn when his old rival Carranza rose to power, backed by the United States. Villa's raid on Columbus, New Mexico, prompted a punitive expedition, led by General Blackjack Pershing. Though Pershing failed to capture Villa, the pursuit strained his resources and led to a decline in his influence. In his last bid for glory, Villa launched an assault on Juarez, but was defeated due to his troops' stoned drunkenness. He retired to a ranch, but was assassinated in 1923, ending the life of a complex and controversial figure whose legacy continues to be debated. What's not up for debate is the impact Pancho Villa and his fellow Mexican contingents' cannabis craze had on the consumption of cannabis around the rest of the American West. The United States was developing rapidly at the quarter turn of the century, and the lawlessness of the open frontier was giving way to organized local governments. The heyday of the Wild West was over, and so was the acceptance of cannabis. As cannabis gained popularity in the United States, it became associated with negative stereotypes against Mexicans. In the 19th century, newspapers and medical journals mainly referred to the plant as cannabis. However, in the early 20th century, the term marijuana became more common, partly due to anti-cannabis groups aiming to emphasize its Mexican origins and fuel anti-immigrant sentiments. The criminalization of cannabis is often attributed to various influential groups' economic interests in suppressing hemp production. They spread stories linking cannabis to violent behavior, particularly among Mexican immigrants. This fear-mongering, coupled with existing prejudices, led to state-level restrictions and eventually federal prohibition. In 1937, Harry Anslinger, the U.S. Narcotics Commissioner, testified before Congress, presenting racially charged anecdotes to support marijuana prohibition. Similar sentiments were expressed by others, including Henry J. Finger, a member of California's State Board of Pharmacy, who voiced concerns about the drug's popularity among immigrants.
Uh-oh. There's a commercial. So you know what we're going to do? Nothing. We're going to just let it rest. You're listening to Weedsday Wednesday, live cannabis radio. We're going to skip it and return.
The sentiment had racial undertones. The narratives that cannabis was outlawed solely because of Mexicans is complicated. Mexico had already prohibited marijuana in 1920, years before the U.S. federal government's crackdown. The concern stemmed not only from racial biases, but also from genuine fears about the drug's effects. Historical accounts suggest that before the 1900s, cannabis was primarily discussed for its medical and industrial uses. However, by the early 20th century, sensationalized news stories, like one from the Los Angeles Times in 1905, portrayed marijuana as a dangerous substance linked to violent behavior and mental deterioration. The perception of marijuana drastically changed during this time. However, there's limited information about its actual usage and effects, especially in terms of dosage, consumption methods, and potential combinations with other substances. The experience of smoking a joint mixed with tobacco would differ greatly from consuming cannabis-infused food or drink. By 1936, every state had prohibited the recreational use of cannabis. The federal government further solidified this ban with the introduction of the Marijuana Tax Act in 1937. Despite these laws, cannabis continued to be used illicitly until the 1960s. During the 1960s, cannabis gained widespread popularity yet again, especially among young people and the hippie counterculture. It became a common sight at protests against the Vietnam War. However, it remained illegal for all purposes. Marijuana Tax Act in 1969, ruling in the case Leary versus United States. In the Wild West, cannabis played a multifaceted role, evolving from a medicinal plant used by immigrant laborers to a recreational substance associated with outlaws and cowboys. Its journey through the frontier reflects broader societal shifts, from acceptance to prohibition and back again. Despite being outlawed for much of the 20th century, 24 states have since rescinded their bans on cannabis,
44.
with another 14 legalizing cannabis for medicinal purposes
Must
only.
be old.
However, weed in the United States is still nothing like it was back in the late 19th century. as we continue to navigate the complex landscape of cannabis regulation and perception. Its history in the Wild West serves as a reminder of its enduring cultural significance and its ability to shape and be shaped by the societies in which it is found.
Woo! There you go. You're listening to Weedsday Wednesday. And you know what else is reshaped? Nothing, not this. It's our favorite song. We like it just the way it is.
I'm gonna smoke some weed. Only got $20 in my pocket. I'm a hunt, looking for a pot shop. This is fucking awesome.
Walk in my house like, what up? I got some good pot. I'm just pumped up, got some herb from the pot shop. Ice in the fridge, it used to be frosty. My friends like, damn, that's a stone ass donkey. Rolling in hella high, looking like it's FIFA time. Dominating all my friends as I eat some chili fries. Draped in the snuggie with my girl sitting next to me. Probably shouldn't have had a big gulp full of iced tea. But shit, it was 99 cents. I'll be blazing and smoking, about to go and get some munchies next. Passing up on those Cracker Jacks, Reese's Pieces are where it's at. Gotta get me some soda pop. Cotton mouth has been creeping up, but can't remember where I put my keys. Yeah, that's what's up. I'ma take your grandpa's ride. No, for real, ask your grandpa, can I take a 65? To Bill cruising to my local Publix. Nothing better than rolling with two super fly chicks. They have frozen burritos. I bought frozen burritos. I bought some Ben and Jerry's, and then I bought some Cheetos. Hello, my main man Obama. A couple states have just reformed their laws on marijuana. What you gonna do? Send the feds there? Hell no. The DEAs will be like, they got volcanoes.
I'm gonna smoke some weed. Only got $20 in my pocket. I'm a hunting, looking for a pot shop. This is fucking awesome. I'm gonna smoke some weed. Only got $20 in my pocket. I'm a hunting, looking for a pot shop. This is fucking awesome.
What you know about the science of marijuana? What you know about people suffering from glaucoma? They need it. It helps them with their condition. If you don't believe me, then just ask some eye physicians. Thank your granddad for voting for that guy. Richard Nixon is the president who made the plant illegal. But science is now showing that it's medicine for people, and the private sector's fighting to keep all of that illegal. Alcohol and tobacco, pharmaceutical prisoners. I take those four major lobby groups and fight those motherfuckers. They're making money day and night, all those motherfuckers, and bribing Congress out of sight, all those motherfuckers. They'd be like, oh, it's immoral and unhealthy. I'm like, how many people are you making wealth? Anti-marijuana lobbies are making all kinds of profits, and they don't want you to stop because of all the special interest. I call that getting swindled and pimped shit. I call that getting tricked by the government. That law's hella old, so it's time to update it, regulate it, and then get it under state control. Peak game, look into my political telescope. Think it's gonna stay like this forever? Not hella won't. Not hella won't.
Hey, Obama, stop being a hypocrite. You used to smoke weed, fool.
I'm gonna smoke some weed. Only got $20 in my pocket. I'm a run, looking for a pot shop. This is fucking awesome. Let's end the war on drugs. It's time to pull the plug. These special interest groups are nothing more than corporate thugs. Let's end the war on weed. The people have agreed. These special interest groups have built these laws with bribery. I'm gonna smoke some weed. Only got $20 in my pocket. I'm a hunt, looking for a pot shop. This is fucking awesome.
Oh, right on. You're listening to Weedsday Wednesday, everybody. Belle Star here. Cannabis Kid is out and about. Silver Sister. Yeah, hope you feel better. It's no fun being sick. If you guys don't know, if you haven't seen the video for that, let me see if I can. I'm going to round it up. It's the best. I'm going to put it up here. I'm not going to play it again for you. Don't worry. But I'm going to put it on. Let's see. Is that the real video? Let's see. Is it? No, it looks like it's just the song. So we're going to put the real video on. This one is great. This video is Super fun. So I'm going to put it up so that you guys can see it all. And you guys can watch the fun video yourself. All right, Weedsday Wednesday, you're back, you're live, we're live. Belle Star here. We've been on air now for, I think next month will be 13 years on air. Get out of here. 13 years. It's cray. All right, let's do a little quick news, and then I got another fun video about what drugs were like back in the 1800s. Okay, let's see what's going on. Oh, there is an event called Budsapalooza happening in Arizona. Let's see, it's presented by True Leaf, and I think it's in Phoenix. All right, what's going on? April 11th, because we're not far away. We're only a month away from our national stoner holiday. Haha. Okay, enjoy a night full of epic tunes on the main stage featuring Tropidelic, Mike Levin, the Full Circle, Surfer Girl, Bikini Trill, Ian Young, and Imperial Sound, Zekely, and a DJ to get the day started. There's comedy, there's stoner flicks. It is a 420 block party, April 11th, 2025, starting at 2 o'clock at the Roosevelt Row for a day filled with music, glass, art, comedy, movies, munchies, and good vibes to boot. Get ready to groove to live performances from the best reggae bands in the U.S. Watch Arizona's best glass blowers create one-of-a-kind work of art. Or just grab a cold one and some munchies to sit down and watch some stoner flicks all night long. Join us and 7,500 of your new best friends. It's a 21-plus event, so don't even try and sneak in. It's $35 to $75 a pop. I didn't realize that, but that's okay. Go and check it out. All right. Let's see if there's any new news going on in the great state of Arizona before we play our little drug video. Let's see. We've got an Arizona dispensary relocating and opening March 7th and 8th. Let's see what that is. Curaleaf has announced the relocation of its Sedona, Arizona dispensary to 1610 State Road 89A. The new location opened February 27th. So get in there. It's open. They had a they're going to have a grand opening March 7th and 8th. That's coming up in just a couple days with a ribbon cutting ceremony, vendor promotions, and exclusive deals. Vendors will be present on site both days from 10 to 6 p.m. Curaleaf Sedona's new location will be open from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, 7 days a week, accommodating both rec and medical marijuana. Customers can explore Curaleaf's premium suite of products, including the wide variety of trusted brands such as Select, Grassroots, Jams, Find, and Curaleaf. Products range across flower, concentrates, vapes, infused pre-rolls, and more, and feature Select zero-proof hemp seltzer, Select vapes with a new strain offering across stick, click, and brick hardware, as well as fine flower, half ounce and ounces, and Grassroots, eighths, concentrates, and infused pre-rolls. With over 150 vendors represented and a continually growing roster, Curaleaf Sedona offers a rich variety of cannabis products to meet the needs of all customers and will introduce even more innovative product offerings in the week to come. Quote, since 2018, I don't know where that came from. Since 2018, Arizona has been an exciting state for us to grow and evolve our retail and product offering. Now, one of the 16 Curaleaf dispensaries operating in the state, the new Curaleaf Sedona offers customers a more accessible and convenient shopping experience right off of Highway 89A, said Luke Flood, Regional Senior Vice President at Curaleaf. The new Sedona dispensary allows us to better serve both medical and adult use customers with improved visibility and an expanded production selection, all within a welcoming environment that reflects our long-standing commitment to the community. For more information on Curaleaf's 16 local dispensaries, delivery program, and products in Arizona, please visit curaleaf.com/dispensary/Arizona. And I will, yes, golf clap. I will post that in our chat session. and you can check out the dispensary opening up and their grand opening March 7th and 8th. All right, let's see what else is going on. 8:40. You know what? Let's go. Let's play, because this is fun. My videos never work, so we're going to take a chance, and we're going to play another video. I've not watched it myself. There's the disclaimer. It's only 11 minutes, so bear with me. What drugs were like in the Wild West? I love it, and I'm going to post this so you can also watch that. As I don't do video because I don't want to be seen all over the internet. Not at all. So here we go. What drugs were like in the Wild West?
The Wild West wasn't powered by just grit and whiskey. Behind the saloon doors and dusty trails, drugs coursed through the lives of settlers, outlaws, and miners alike. Opium dens buzzed with activity, their smoky interiors drawing gamblers and fugitives into an intoxicating haze. Laudanum bottles, sold as miracle cures, became both lifelines and death sentences in mining towns and frontier cabins. Cocaine-fueled cattle drives stretched across the plains, while cannabis flourished in unregulated pastures, its use spreading among laborers and cowboys. The Wild West's drug culture wasn't hidden. It thrived openly, shaping the chaotic rhythm of a lawless era. Opium's journey into the Wild West hit its stride during the California gold rush, when thousands of Chinese immigrants brought their labor and their habits across the Pacific. By the 1850s, opium dens were cropping up in mining towns. In San Francisco's Chinatown, narrow alleys led to shadowy rooms filled with low tables, bamboo mats, and the heavy aroma of burnt opium resin. These dens became gathering places, not just for Chinese laborers, but for gamblers, outlaws, and the curious, all chasing the warm euphoria promised by the poppy. The scene inside a den wasn't subtle. Smokers reclined lazily, cradling long-stem pipes. Nearby, attendants, often dressed in silk robes, stoked small lamps to heat the opium, preparing dose after dose. The dense smoke swirled through the dimly lit rooms, mingling with the murmur of voices and the occasional outburst of laughter. These dens were not tucked away in secret. They thrived openly in cities like Denver and Portland, where areas like Hop Alley housed dozens of these establishments. By the 1870s, opium smoking wasn't confined to the Chinese community. News of its effects rippled through mining camps and railroad outposts, tempting settlers weary from the punishing frontier life. Some came out of curiosity, while others, battered by injury or heartbreak, sought refuge. The law rarely intervened. Officials either ignored the dens or actively protected them in exchange for hefty bribes. One of the most notorious hubs was in Virginia City, Nevada, where den owners catered to miners flush with gold and gamblers nursing their losses. Reports of all-night sessions where customers smoked themselves into a stupor filtered through newspapers, stirring a mix of fascination and condemnation. The opium trade grew with every passing train carrying fresh laborers and fresh supply. By the 1880s, American custom officials noted that opium imports had skyrocketed from a few thousand pounds to hundreds of thousands of pounds. The dens thrived in the shadows of this booming trade. For many, they were a place to escape the harshness of the frontier. For others, they became a trap, their lives consumed by the haze of the pipe.
Uh-oh. You are listening to Weedsday Wednesday with Belle and the Cannabis Kid. And we're going to skip this ad and get on back to the show. All right. Uh-oh. Wow. There's all sorts of ads.
Laudanum didn't slip into the Wild West quietly. It barreled through, touted as the solution to every ailment pioneers encountered. It was a staple in doctors' kits and general stores. A dark, bitter liquid made of opium dissolved in alcohol. It eased away the agony of childbirth, quieted crying infants, and dulled the unrelenting pain of gunshot wounds and broken bones. But it was far from harmless. Sally Talbot's death in Cheyenne, Wyoming in 1873 was a grim reminder of laudanum's dangers. Only 21, she was found lifeless in a boarding house, her empty bottle beside her. Talbot wasn't alone in her fate. In Virginia City, Nevada, Laura Steele and Ida Vernon met similar ends. These women, worn down by hard lives in the roughest towns in the West, found solace in laudanum's grip until it became their undoing. Laudanum's accessibility made it a constant presence. Gamblers swigged it to steady their nerves before high-stakes games. Ranchers used it to numb the aches of long days, and exhausted mothers dosed their children for peace and quiet. Eleanor Dumont, known as Madame Mustache for her striking appearance and skill at the card table, succumbed to an overdose after losing a fortune in Bodie, California. The drug's pull was undeniable. Even celebrities of the day fell into its clutches. Mattie Blaylock, Wyatt Earp's common-law wife, became dependent on laudanum during their time together. Her addiction spiraled after Wyatt Earp left her, culminating in her death in 1888 after consuming a fatal mix of laudanum and alcohol. Writers like Edgar Allan Poe and gamblers alike spoke of the drug's ability to transport them beyond the hardships of their realities, only to return them broken. The frontier's unforgiving nature made laudanum a cruel master. It provided relief at a steep cost, creating addicts who traded pain for dependence. The harshness of the West was often amplified by the very substance meant to ease it, leaving behind a trail of overdoses and shattered lives. Cocaine didn't creep into the Wild West. It erupted into public life with a wave of enthusiasm. By the late 1800s, it was a household remedy, marketed as a cure for exhaustion, depression, and even indigestion. What began as a medical marvel turned into one of the most widely consumed stimulants of the frontier. The drug's path to fame started in 1863 when French chemist Angelo Mariani introduced Vin Mariani, a wine infused with coca leaves celebrated for its invigorating effects. Each glass delivered a sharp jolt of vitality, and demand for the beverage skyrocketed, with the likes of Pope Leo XIII endorsing it. American entrepreneurs followed Mariani's lead. In 1886, John Stitt Pemberton of Atlanta introduced French wine coca, a concoction he advertised as a nerve tonic. When prohibition laws banned alcohol sales, Pemberton reformulated the drink into a syrup, the birth of Coca-Cola. Early versions contained an estimated 9 milligrams of cocaine per serving, enough to fuel the energy levels of laborers, cowboys, and entrepreneurs navigating the demands of frontier life. Cocaine was sold in every conceivable form. Lozenges, powders, cigarettes, and injectable solutions were readily available in pharmacies and through catalog orders. Farmers in isolated regions kept cocaine syrups on hand to push through grueling harvests. Ranchers relied on the drug to combat fatigue during cattle drives that stretched for weeks under punishing conditions. The drug's reach wasn't limited to physical laborers. Denver's urban elite sipped cocaine-laden tonics during high society gatherings, while gamblers in boomtowns sought it to sharpen their focus. Doctors administered it liberally as a local anesthetic, further popularizing its use among settlers. The allure of cocaine wasn't all glamour. Addiction spread quietly, and some accounts told of settlers experiencing paranoia or violent outbursts after prolonged use. By the 1890s, cocaine had become an indispensable part of Western life, its effects rippling through saloons, work camps, and parlors alike. It wasn't just a drug of indulgence, it was a tool for survival and an escape from the relentless hardships of the frontier.
Wow. You're listening to Weedsday Wednesday, a live cannabis radio show. We're just doing a little history on drugs. And during this video, they're showing all sorts of old medicine bottles, and a lot of the contents on the medicine bottles is cannabis. And here you go, cannabis and cowboys.
Cannabis wove itself into the fabric of the Wild West with surprising ease. Initially introduced as hemp for its durable fiber, it quickly found a new role in frontier life. Mexican laborers fleeing political turmoil in the 19th century brought knowledge of cannabis as a recreational substance. By the mid-1800s, it was flourishing in the wild, spreading across fields and pastures where it required little cultivation. The open landscapes of Texas, in particular, became an unregulated ground for cannabis growth and use. Displaced Mexican laborers were among the first to use cannabis for its psychoactive effects, often sharing it with African-American cowboys. These cannabis cowboys would gather after long days herding cattle or working irrigation projects, passing rolled sleeves under the vast frontier sky. The drug's calming effects provided relief from the constant physical strain and unpredictability of life on the range. Now, cannabis wasn't confined to the trails. In western towns, it gained popularity as an alternative to tobacco. The plant was cheaper and often grew roadside, ready for harvest by anyone willing to collect it. Farmers and ranchers used it to relax after grueling workdays, while miners consumed it to ease the exhaustion of digging for gold. In urban areas, cannabis took on a more exotic appeal. By the 1870s, hashish parlors were opening in cities like New Orleans and San Francisco. Decorated with Middle Eastern motifs, these establishments catered to adventurous thrill seekers. One famous account from New York described a hashish hell where patrons reclined on cushions, inhaling from hookahs as they indulged in surreal hallucinations. Cannabis use spread rapidly in the frontier's lawless environment, where regulation was almost non-existent. Its reputation as a harmless vice allowed it to coexist with harsher substances like opium and cocaine. By the time anti-narcotic laws began to take hold decades later, cannabis had already cemented itself as a fixture of frontier culture, its impact lingering in the myths and stories of the Wild West.
The lawless medicine
The Wild
cabinet.
West didn't have a pharmacist's restraint or a regulator's hand when it came to drugs. Patent medicines dominated the market, their promises of miraculous cures splashed across bold, colorful labels. These concoctions flowed freely through every general store, pitched at travelers from wagons doubling as mobile pharmacies. Snake oil salesmen, masters of theatrical persuasion, performed on makeshift stages, claiming their bottles could cure everything from tuberculosis to rheumatism. In the hands of desperate settlers, these medicines became lifelines. Yet their ingredients told another story. Many of these elixirs contain potent narcotics like opium, cocaine, and cannabis, often mixed with alcohol or chloroform. A rancher nursing his aching back might swig a concoction laced with opium to ease his pain, unaware he was taking steps toward addiction. Parents gave soothing syrups packed with morphine to restless children, silencing cries but risking their health in the process. Traveling medicine shows turned frontier towns into stages for spectacle. Crowds gathered to watch charismatic salesmen, their voices booming as they extolled the virtues of bottles filled with mystery. Testimonials were delivered with dramatic flair. A man claimed he had been cured of paralysis after a single dose. A woman swore her consumption was reversed. Behind the performances were bottles filled with narcotics sold in staggering quantities. In mining towns, patent medicines became the solution for every ailment. Cough syrups were a favorite among miners, who spent days inhaling dust in claustrophobic tunnels. When gamblers sat at saloon tables for marathon games, they passed around cocaine tonics for sharp focus and stamina. Meanwhile, women suffering from nervous ailments turned to laudanum, sold under charming names like Dr. Vinghon's elixir of opium. The side effects were devastating. Settlers seeking relief often fell into dependence. Addiction crept into communities already burdened by isolation and survival struggles. By the time the Pure Food and Drug Act arrived in 1906, the damage was evident. The unregulated chaos of the frontier's medicine cabinet had fueled an era of relief and ruin, leaving behind stories of resilience and destruction in equal measure. Thanks for watching Nutty Productions. What other historical drug?
All right, Nutty Productions. That was a really cool little history of drugs. Oh, all sorts of drugs we find in our time to try and heal and help and get rid of all of our ailments. You are listening to Weedsday Wednesday, live cannabis radio show without video on YouTube. I know, it makes a lot of sense. All right, let's see what else is going on. We've got some more top stories. If you want to get your card, your medical marijuana card in the great state of Arizona, just contact Tumbleweeds Health Center, now at 6224 East Speedway Boulevard. We are right next to Bookman's, if you know what Bookman's is. If you don't, it's one of the best bookstores on the planet. It's huge. Not only does it have books, but it's got games and a little antique shop in there. You can find all sorts of things. You might even find yourself, a really old cannabis bottle. All right. If you suffer from PTSD, cancer, glaucoma, AIDS, chronic pain, severe nausea, seizures including epilepsy, HIV, Hep C, ALS, Crohn's disease, agitation of Alzheimer's, cachexia, or wasting syndrome, severe and persistent muscle spasms, including multiple sclerosis, you can get your medical cannabis card. If you suffer from something else that isn't on the list but causes something on this list, you can also get your medical cannabis card. Come and find out how.
If you suffer from one of these medical conditions and have been diagnosed by an Arizona licensed physician, medical cannabis may help relieve your symptoms. Tumbleweeds Health Center is Arizona's premier cannabis certification, health, and education center. Our primary focus is to help the patients of Arizona obtain their medical marijuana card and educate everyone about medical cannabis. With current medical records, approval is a simple process. Contact Tumbleweeds Health Center to see if you qualify for your Arizona medical marijuana card.
Are chronic conditions holding you back from a happy, healthy life? Get on the right track with Tumbleweeds Health Center. Our CBD products are formulated to fit your health lifestyle.
I would definitely say that CBD has changed my life. I mean, I don't worry about my dog anymore, and I don't worry about sleeping anymore.
Tumbleweeds Health Center, voted #1 health center in Tucson, has created a proprietary number of CBD blends, each designed to promote health and well-being. Let Tumbleweeds Health Center show you how CBD products might help you improve your life the natural way.
That's right. That's right. We've been voted #1 certification center 9 out of 10 times in this beautiful, great state of Arizona. And yes, thank you. We're getting ready to do some voting again. Woohoo! So check out tumbleweedshealthcenter.com and we'll have a link to where you can vote in the Tucson Weekly for Best Certification Center and Best Doctor. All right. Let's see what's going on in the news before we end the show. Let's see if we can find a small story. 60% of cannabis consumed in California comes from unregulated markets. Wow. New Jersey governor proposes a 500% tax hike on cannabis cultivators as $7 million fund remains untouched. I wonder why they do that. Okay. Increases in numbers of states that have legalized marijuana obscures fact that cannabis remains federally illegal in 2025. 12 states that could legalize cannabis in 2025. Let's check that out. We only have a couple minutes left. We'll see who's getting ready to legalize cannabis. All right. Cannabis legalization largely stalled in 2024 amid cross-chamber disagreements in state legislatures and ballot measures let down on elections day. Well, Nebraska was the lone state to advance reform last year via overwhelming support behind a pair of medical cannabis legalization measures in November. Yet, litigation attempting to prevent a program rollout remains pending. So, where does that leave reform in 2025? Despite federal prohibition, 24 states have legalized adult use cannabis, and 39 states have legalized medical cannabis. Oh, my Lord. Leaving additional reform opportunities on the table for more than half the nation. Here at Cannabis Business Times, we're continuing to read the nation's palm to determine the chances of changing fortunes for 12 states in our 2025 legalization forecast. This list includes 8 states that may finally budge on medical cannabis reform and 4 that could transition to adult use legalization, including Pennsylvania, New Hampshire, Hawaii, and Virginia. In addition, 8 of these states have Republican trifectas in their legislative chambers and governorships, including New Hampshire, which could become the first state in the nation to legalize adult use cannabis via a GOP-controlled legislature. Hawaii, meanwhile, is the last state in the country with a Democratic trifecta absent of adult use legalization. Yet, Pennsylvania, with a divided government, could beat the Aloha state to the punch. Notably, none of these 12 states provide statewide citizen-initiated ballot measures, meaning it's up to elected officials to align policies with the will of their electorates. However, the appetite for reform is largely growing among lawmakers across both aisles throughout the nation. The biggest hurdle in 2025 for cannabis legalization revolves around top lawmakers who hold the keys to floor debates in their legislative chambers. Although the top politician in the nation indicated along his campaign trail in September of 2024 that he supported relisting cannabis to a Schedule III drug and a backed legalization measure in his home state of Florida, this stance alone likely isn't enough to move the needle on state-level policies for our nation's legalization holdouts. Do you agree? Let us know. And this is from Cannabis Business Times. And folks, I am sorry to say we are actually out of time on the show. And that's it for Weedsday Wednesday for this week. We'll read the list next week, and we'll let you know which 12 states are getting ready to hopefully legalize cannabis in 2025. Check out tumbleweedshealthcenter.com for more information on how to get certified, news, a list of why it's better to get your medical marijuana card in the great state of Arizona. And don't forget, we offer telemedicine. And as always, remember, be smart, be safe, and educate. Have a wonderful week. We'll see you next time on Weedsday Wednesday, open hour. Hope you have a great day. Silver Sister, we hope you feel better. Cannabis Kid, where the heck are you? Get out over here. Have a great day, everybody. Happy Weedsday Wednesday. Be kind to each other. Be nice. And smoke some weed for me. Have a bong hit. Woohoo! Happy Weedsday Wednesday one day, everybody. Have a great day. We love y'all. Smoke a bong.
If you suffer from one of these medical conditions and have been diagnosed by